This is the video for Friday, September the 3rd. Today is Labor Day, so the U.S. markets are closed. But the McClellan oscillator is really what we've looked at every day since we've been doing these videos. And we're back into the choppiness. When we thought we had this little breakout, we were going to head a little bit higher into the overbought area. We come back into the chop, which likely means that there's more downward pressure, that the bulls might be in control for the rest of this week. So let's just take a look at the charts. Dow Jones, there you see it bounce off the 50. Chiku span bounce off the candles. The candles should still be support, but if the candles lose support, and that's why I'm going to draw the green line down here, if the candles do not provide support for the Chiku span, then we have an appointment for the price to meet the 50 and then the cloud. The NASDAQ looks a little bit the same. See that bounce for the Chiku span way back then, struggling now to make a new high. The S&P, exactly the same. All of last week, all 5 days, it stayed in this very, very narrow trading range. Chiku span, remember, bounced off of the candles back here. Price bounced off of the 50. I'm going to show you some stocks today that are really just technical examples of what you look for when you're looking at the charts. The volatility index, we've got this rising higher lows. So that's something to keep a watch out on, that volatility could spike. Apple's been doing well. Apple really is now in this channel, but it's a channel moving upward, and a break above 155 is going to be pretty important for Apple. It's going to make an announcement probably sometime this week about when it's going to make the announcement on its new products. Abbott had a bit of a shock. Back here you'll see why. If you just do a quick search on the news, you can see that stock dropped after an FDA warning. You can read the details here. Analysts say the sell-off is overblown. So you can read that article here for free without a subscription to Barron's if you want to take a look at it. But it did, let's get rid of this now, but it did really shoot down below the 200 and then came back up again and now has dropped a little bit. So Abbott could be, certainly if it bounces off the 200, you would want to buy Abbott at that point. Caterpillar, the news on Caterpillar, why Caterpillar stock is likely to keep plowing ahead. Another free Barron's article that you can read here from last Friday. But I am in Caterpillar. And remember, I failed to make a purchase back here. So it came up and hit the 50. I wasn't going to chase it. I was going to wait for it to pull down. And it did. And I bought it somewhere in here on September the 1st. And then I bought, that looks like I bought it on August the 31st. Bought a little bit more September the 1st. These could be off a day or so. But anyways, I'm starting to step in now with purchases at 212.28, 211.72. And support on the bottom of the cloud would certainly have me looking at buying some more. IBM continues to channel. My break even is going to be 145 on my stock because I sold 145 calls for roughly $2. NEO, let's look at the stochastic momentum indicators. Now we see the fast moving has started to move up, and that coincides with this move here. Now the slow moving indicator, I'm going to get rid of this so you can see it better, has not started to move up yet, but it is going to start to move up. The 50, meanwhile, will become resistance. But look, we've got thin area right here, an opportunity where the clouds twist and invert to break through. But that's a red cloud up ahead. This is just going to be a tough stock, NEO being a Chinese stock, and all of the woes about Chinese stocks and the regulation of China stocks at home just puts pressure on them. Sava rejected off the 200. It opened just below the 200 on Friday. It had this big pop pre-market, hit the 200, and the sellers were waiting there. But where did it finish the day? With the Chiku span right on the 200, and these stochastic momentum indicators signal that Sava could turn around, but it's no longer a momentum stock now. It's driven by news with the FDA. And look at the sellers. We're really quite out there on Friday. Now I have on top of my stock, I have short 50 calls that expire this week. They're about 40% in the profit, and I expect that this resistance at this 200 moving average at $60 is going to continue, and 38.2 possibly being a support. 61.8 was a support before. 138.2 was a resistance, so this looks like a good set of Fibonacci's. It is behaving technically. You can see the Chiku span in the 200. You can see price in the 200, and you can see the Fibonacci's. So it's a heavily day traded stock in my opinion, and the volume is pretty consistently high every day. Square doesn't seem to be doing too much. I'm still holding on to that with short calls that expire in September at 285. Here's some stocks that we haven't looked at in a while, but they're good technical examples. Coca-Cola. Look at Coke. Rejection Thursday by the Chiku span on the candle, and that caused the price to end up a little bit lower on Monday. But look at the cloud acting as beautiful support 2 days in a row here. In fact, on this day here, August 26th, you had price sandwiched between the bottom of the cloud and the 50 moving average. That's a stock that you trade on technicals. Here's another one, CVS. We were watching that for a while. CVS got a bounce back here, the Chiku span on that candle, and then that was prescient. Then it just continued to move up. You broke out through the cloud, but then you got support on the cloud, and then it moved higher. The 50 was also important. So there's another good technical trading stock. Cyber, which we haven't looked at in a long time, gets support right back in here for the Chiku span on the cloud, the 50, and the candle. And we've got this bull pennant here, and when it broke out, it was the time to buy. I wasn't watching Cyber. The stochastics say that it's overbought. Facebook, another one to take a look at technically. Here you go on Thursday. Chiku span gets support on the top of the candle. But where's support for the Chiku span now? It's much lower. So be careful. You've got the 50 running into the cloud. In fact, I'm going to just bookmark this one, and we're going to come back and we're going to take a look at those indicators later on in the week and see if, in fact, let me just put it right up here so we don't forget, they were important. So that's my review of some odd stocks, looking at how technical indicators are working. Overall, the whole market is working based on technical indicators. It's a heavily technically traded market. Where do we go next week? Well, we've got these three indices that were just all topping, and we have a choppy McClellan oscillator. So this could be a challenging week up ahead, and my call would be for a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a pullback from these things. Maybe we're going to see over the next few weeks pull back to the 50 on the S&P. Dow Jones could easily pull back to the 50 without much pain. Now it would be much bigger for the NASDAQ to pull back to the 50 and for the S&P, but both of them could, and that could be what we're looking at in the future to help re-stimulate this market to continue to grow into the end of the year.